Hello. Mrs. Boswell speaking. Yep. Oh, good evening, sir. Yes, I have read them. Would you excuse me a minute? I'm sorry about that. Yes, I did. It was substantially what I said, but completely out of context. I'm sending a report to the Home Office, and so is Dr. Mays. Yes, I know it could, but I had no idea it could be used like that against me. No, of course, I won't speak to anyone else. Thank you, sir. Goodbye. No, any further statement must come from the press office.
They got hold of Dr. May's home number. They've been phoning him half the night.
Yes, I know.
And the morning papers are only reprints of last night's story. Unfortunately, the medical report makes it seem as if some of the accusations may have a basis in fact.
Stenhill's version of what I said is close enough for me not to be able to deny it. I didn't mean that I didn't care whether she suffered or not, nor that the officers in charge of her were unusually strict.
Well, of course not.
If I say that I have no right to reply, they'll assume that I'm hiding something. Now, I don't care for myself. The staff must wonder why I don't defend them. Governor, I told you I wasn't available. Who? Victor Hartnell. Yes, I'll speak to him. Good day, Mr. Hartnell. Yes, I do know. I agree. It's most unfortunate. No, of course you can see her. Any day. But not in the morning. I'm never free then. I'll wait to hear from you. Goodbye.
Hartnell, the MP?
Yes.
You might have known he'd be the first to get in on it.
Surely he doesn't support the kind of violent anarchy that girl represents?
No, but he's made his reputation as the champion of the underdog, and he can smell national press coverage.
It's all so cheap and obvious. I suspected that this was an attempt to win public sympathy for Martha Kyle. Didn't think I'd let myself be used quite so easily.
Could have happened to anyone, Governor.
I'd hoped that my lack of experience wouldn't show quite so soon.
I should have advised you not to talk to Stenhill, so perhaps it can be said to be my fault.
I didn't support your appointment, Mr. Radley, in order that you could take the blame for any failing of mine.
I think you'll find that everyone will support you.
Do they realize that if her condition doesn't improve, there may have to be an inquiry?
They're prepared for that. Well, what are you going to do?
About Martha Kyle? Certainly not make any more statements. I'm going to leave it to the doctor. I've got other things to get on with. But first, I want to make sure that there's no connection between her and that girl in solitary. Hello, Lily. Can I come in?
Of course, madam.
Food all right?
Oh, yes, madam. It's improved ever so much since you've been here.
Oh, I can't take any credit for that. Now, who's this?
My friend, Nora. She's very shy.
I see. Well, that's very pretty. Did you do it?
No, madam. Nora made it for me.
Really? Do you share together?
No, madam. Nora's in 14 with old Georgie and Mrs. Weeks.
And who's on the other side?
That Peggy, the blackie.
Oh, yes. How do you get on with her?
Well, madam, I don't not get on with her.
No, she doesn't seem very happy. What do you think's wrong with her?
Not for me to say, madam. I mean, she's a bit stuck up, isn't she? She keeps herself to herself.
Yes. Well, don't let me interrupt you.
You're right, Nona. Why don't you say something?
I think she's nice.
Well, she has to be, isn't she? She's in trouble.
Thank you, Mrs. Armitage. How are you, Peggy? There's no need to be frightened. Why don't you sit down? Well, I'm going to sit, because I want to talk to you, and it's been a rather long day. I know it's hard not to resent it when you're being punished. But you see, a prison is run on certain very simple rules. And if you persist in breaking them...
What are you talking about, lady? I know about rules. I know about punishment.
What I want you to understand is why you're being punished.
You're talking crazy. I am here and you're going to hurt me.
Nobody's going to hurt you.
You've been waiting to get me here.
Why do you say that?
Just because I'm black.
Everyone is equal here. You won't be treated differently from anybody else.
You don't treat me right. Well, what you waiting for? Get it over. I'm here. You're going to beat me? Well, come on then, hit me. Hit me then.
She's just out to draw attention to herself, madam. Cause trouble.
It's probably a question of how she's approached. If you go storming in...
If anyone upset Peggy Abbott, it was me. And I'm the one who'll decide how she's to be treated. And that's not meant as a criticism against the prison officers, Mrs. Armitage.
Very good, madam.
I realize that there's a fundamental disagreement between the welfare office and some of the uniformed staff on the treatment of prisoners. But I want you to remember the strain that the staff are working under, particularly at a time like this.
Yes, Governor.
Yes, Governor.
Now, what can you tell me about Peggy Abbott, Miss Clark?
Well, as you know, she's in for 6 months for child neglect.
Yes.
But I'm afraid our records are very scanty. She's literate. The psychotherapist notes that her response was negative, but she's considered to be above average intelligence.
Governor? Yes, Mr. Radley? He's here already? No, of course I'll see him. Will you bring him up? Oh, and would you ask the chief officer to see that Martha Kyle is brought to my office? Thank you. I'm afraid we'll have to stop now. I have an MP visiting me. Miss Clark, I'd like you to check up with Peggy Abbott's relatives. I want to know more about that girl. There's something there that I can't put my finger on.
Yes, of course,
And give it
Governor.
some priority, will you?
Yes, Governor.
Is this MP Victor Hartnell?
Yes, it is.
Hope it goes well.
It's not official.
Well, he couldn't possibly believe all those things you're supposed to have said. No one who knows you could. Any of us would tell him.
Thank you, Miss Harker. But I can't discuss it.
Sorry, Governor.
Now, once the press has got hold of something like this, it's terribly important that there should be no suggestion of a cover-up, you see. That's the main point that I was trying to establish. There. Very good of you to let me come at such short notice, Mrs. Boswell.
I really didn't expect you today.
If a thing's worth doing, it's worth doing at once. I'm sure none of us wants this affair to get out of hand.
No.
I checked with the Home Office before calling you.
Yes, I know. Do sit down.
Oh, thank you.
Martha Kyle is on her way here.
Oh, good. Perhaps I could have a word with you before she arrives? Thank you, Mr. Radley. You realize that my visit is entirely unofficial, Mrs. Boswell?
Yes, of course.
I'm here purely in my capacity as a private member of Parliament. Anything you may tell me will be treated as confidential.
I really have nothing to say.
I gather from my informant at the Home Office that you already feel that you've been misrepresented.
That is correct.
Well, it can happen to anyone in public life. I can testify to that. But I have been asked by her solicitor and other people acting on her behalf to look into her treatment and see if there is any cause for concern. Are you aware of any such cause?
None at all.
I see. We're dealing with a potentially explosive situation, Mrs. Boswell. It is a case in which justice must not only be done, but be seen to be done. May I see her alone?
I'm afraid that's not possible. I have to be present and send a report of everything that's said to the Home Office.
Well, this meeting will be useless unless she tells me what she wants to without fear of contradiction.
I'm merely an observer. I cannot speak unless asked a direct question.
Oh, forgive me.
Perhaps you'd like to take my place. I'll sit over here.
Oh, thank you.
Come in. Mother, this is Mr. Hartnell.
Do please sit down, Miss Kyle.